Chapter 28 Sly. The bottles are all on a conveyor belt, made of wood and powered by a poor raccoon chained on a giant hamster wheel. We managed to pickpocket 2 keys, one each, without even having to knock the holders out, and we managed to snag a bottle from the conveyor belt, undetected. I make a note to go back for the little raccoon when we can. Come to think of it, the idea of a raccoon tortured into powering the belt sounds like a concept I've heard before, but we don't slow down. As we pickpocketed, more guards came and went down a different tunnel. The torches we see show it's brightly lit and heading downward even further, like a digestive system. This tunnel is a lot wider, so when a guard walks by us, we can stick to the walls and turn invisible rather than fight them, which is a relief. As we go down, we realize there are several ways to turn, frightening us momentarily, worried it will take too long to explore everywhere. And it will be too hard to memorize our path so we don't get lost. All we are really looking for, now that we have a sample of the potion, is a copy of the book, but it will be extra hard to mount a rescue if we get lost and can't write down where we are. Ossinoth, Peely, and Slighton Common's son are counting on us. We need to do this right. We then see, after peeking, that instead of routes all throughout various tunnels underneath this pyramid, which was my assumption, they're different rooms for one or two purposes. One is a gym where a bunch of sweaty apes are lifting weights and punching sacks. Another looks like a tank full of a fair supply of water. There's a large lavatory, a kitchen, and a weaponry, but no library. Well, the books must be here, Slighton Common assures me. Bellcob wouldn't lie. You dare question my judgment? We feel chills in the thin air. That's Katra's authoritative voice, and it's getting closer and closer. It shouldn't scare us so much, but it does. Slighton Common and I both hug the wall, take deep breaths, and go invisible. No time to even pick a room to go into, everyone uncomfortably highly occupied. I spend hours a day in this pit of a pyramid, trying to escape dilemmas of all my unqualified servants and royalty peasants, and you drag me out to suggest this operation we've worked on for 7 years should be stopped? No, of course not. I can tell Slighton Common knows that voice too. Katra and a guard of hers come into view. I think the guy's name, Slighton Common told me, was Pamue. Things are just extremely rough right now, and I think if we do this too quick, someone will get really mad. As long as we have their role model and his pregnant little bee under lock and key— Empress! Yells a guard. He runs to her like Murray when he saw this place that served bacon donuts. The prisoners have escaped! He says it so loud everyone seems to stop in their tracks throughout the pyramid. Katra is speechless. She all of a sudden looks both scared and truly furious. If I had any sense of humor right now, I'd even call her a Carmelita with more anxiety after we would successfully escape her. It becomes a stampede of guards going to the weaponry. Guess Pamue was right about tensions boiling over back above ground. Sly? Slighton Common pokes me lightly on the shoulder before the ground can stop shaking. He's visible again. He's looking at something. From my angle, he's staring at something in a room, but I can't tell what it is from here. It takes me a moment, but only a moment, to realize this room he's looking through, we couldn't see the entrance of from walking through this passage. This entryway was angled, so we walked right by it, not seeing it in our front or rear views until we turned around. It's the library. I spot the collection of books. Amazingly, unlike back at Katra's palace, they're only on the second shelf. I grab one, and Slighton Common douses it with the potion. I flip through it right after. The cover and pages feel exactly as the book has been ever since I put it back together years ago. I could almost cry with relief. I need to take a breath before I remember we're still in the lion's den and I can't celebrate too early. Now we need a pen, and preferably a place to hide while Slighton Common writes some of this down. Only problem is, it seems there's a shortage of both in this room. I say as much to Slighton Common. A pen shouldn't be too hard to find in this place, he says. Maybe back at the conveyor? I think aloud. Maybe there is. Hold on. What? Katra talked earlier about somewhere she needed to escape dilemmas, and she was coming from down there. Maybe there's something she goes to down there to escape said dilemmas. Slighton Common points towards the kitchen. Trying to remember where her voice was coming from as she ascended towards us, we see another cavern. It smells fresh, like cupcakes. There's bound to be something we can write with down there. We head down, taking a torch with us to light the way. And it soon becomes apparent this passageway is fairly longer than the others. We find a room the size of 2 high school gyms, filled with nothing but a pit filled with purple rocks. The only other thing in this room, apart from a low ceiling, is a narrow walkway around the room like a picture frame. Most of the rocks seem to be the size of cannonballs, and they smell kind of like burnt chalk dust. We have to cough a little bit before we adjust. "Do you know what this stuff is?" Slighton Common asks me. "No, I don't recognize it." "Neither do I. Maybe it's some kind of drug ingredient? Or the powder from them? I can't imagine rocks being a suitable ingredient for digestion. Whatever it is, it must be important business of Katra's." I then see a grin slowly materialize. "If we mess with it, it could really take businesses down." "I like the sound of that," I say, a tickling sensation stemming from the idea of really ruining whatever the high-ups are doing here. But right now, we need to first and foremost get something to write with. Then we can go back later when everyone's safe. So where... Hey, Sly, I see another room. Slighton Common points to a small entryway from the other end of this room. I see the light from a torch within it. We run across the side path. As we do, I notice, barely from the faint darkness, what looks like a hatch in the wall, but it looks rusted shut and we ignore it. There's no way a pen would be there.